Hi, it's me, Johnny again, and in this fourth video on performance logistics, we're going to talk about whether we should learn pieces of music from memory. Now, the King's Singers perform a lot of music, and some people seem to think that we do all of it from memory. Now, that's just not the case. We do a lot of our music with music stands. But we do perform some music from memory, of course. And how do we decide which pieces we should perform from memory? Well, I've got David Hurley here, and I'm going to ask him about that. David, what do you think are the benefits of performing a piece of music from memory?
I think you take a half step closer to your audience. You avoid having the music stand in front of you, and I think that can sometimes be a little bit of a barrier. If you've got the music stand set up right, it shouldn't be too much of a barrier, but it does have that lovely extra close link with your audience.
Good. So do you think when we get a piece for the first time, there are any immediate signs that tell us we should probably perform it from memory?
I think generally with our lighter repertoire, our arrangements, they really do require us to know them from memory and to sing them from memory. But with the more classical based repertoire, I think you can sing that with music stands.
I mean, do you think there are even some pieces which, are negatively impacted by being performed from memory?
I think it's difficult to say whether a single piece is negatively impacted by singing a piece from memory, but I think actually one of the wonderful things about a King's Singers concert is actually that moment where we do step in front of the stands. I think that it's almost like, okay, this is adding a little extra level of danger to our performance. We suddenly have to remember the stuff without it in front of us. So I think in a way I think if you come on at the beginning of the show and sing everything from memory, that often doesn't have the impact of actually being behind the stands for part of the show and then coming round in front for the towards the end of the show.
Ah, I see. So, do you think it matters if in the process of learning a piece from memory, you perform it a few times behind the stands?
I think we do tend to sing one or two performances of many of our pieces with music. I mean, there are some that simply doesn't work for. There are some pieces within the repertoire. I mean, Matteo Fletcher's La Bomba comes to mind, where we generally do the piece from memory, but it's a very long piece, and it's in a rather obscure ancient version of sort of Spanish Portuguese, and therefore it's a hard piece just in your very first performance to sing from memory. And so when someone new comes into the group, we sing it behind the stands for a few performances. When I joined the group, La Bomba was always sung behind the stands, and that was just something we did, and it was probably a few years into my time when we suddenly thought the development of the performance really will be enhanced if we move in front of the stands, we sing it from memory. And I was fortunate enough to have sung it so many times that I never really had to sit down and learn it. Whereas I know now that the newer members of the group, it becomes, learning La Bomba is like one of those big mountains to climb.
I remember it well. I do remember it well. So what should we do if we're putting together a group of pieces in a programme and some of the pieces are ones we perform from memory and some are pieces we perform with music? Should we move from behind the stands to being in front between every piece, or should we decide to learn pieces from memory, or should we do them all behind the stands?
I think you mustn't be moving back and forth too often, because it rather highlights those pieces that you don't know from memory. So, maybe plan your programme a little better so that you sing the pieces behind the stand first of all and then you move around. Very often we'll decide to do a group from memory. We'll go, well, we know most of these pieces. Let's just learn this extra piece, and that means we can come in front of the stands. So it's using your common sense to know what is realistic. Within our repertoire, we have so much music that we sing. I don't think really any of us could hold all that music in our minds without actually having the reminder of it in the score. I mean, there are many pieces that I sing and I don't look at the score, but I remember it because I've got the music in front of me, rather than because I know it so well. I'm so used to having the music there as almost a safety net. So I think what you don't want to do is to limit your repertoire by saying we're only going to sing pieces we know from memory, because I think certainly for the King's Singers that would be unfortunate.
So you think it's a matter of common sense. Deciding whether to learn a piece off by heart should be influenced not just by the piece itself, but also where you're performing it in a programme.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see the benefit of learning, say, the Gesualdo Tenebrae responses for Maundy Thursday from memory. I mean, it would be a feat of memory, but I don't think it would add anything to the grandeur of the performance.
Brilliant. Well, I hope you found that interesting. Thank you very much, David.